Okay, good morning. It's Ron. It's a little after 11 a.m. So we'll get started with questions first. We'll see if we have any questions with anything different before we go into what we discussed yesterday. Do it a little differently today. Any questions, comments?
I just have a curiosity question. Did anybody get to see the wonderful Borealis Friday night or Saturday?
I did not, and I do have a question about that, and I'm glad you brought it up. That was going to be my question. Uh, if I can add something to that, since we're going there, I was listening to uh, one of I forget, I guess a scientist, or astronomer on television, and he was talking about the electromagnetic energy there, and if it swayed one way or the other, what would happen. And I could have sworn he said that it at some point it could have an effect on the earth with all the electronic stuff. And that got my attention. But by then, I didn't hear the beginning of what he said. And I asked Pastor about it. Did anybody catch that? And what he said, or what that meant? What caused that, and what effect could that possibly have on us?
I saw in this morning's news on WLTX that
Uh-huh.
Newberry's emergency sirens went off, and they think they were affected by because they were unable to turn it off at first. But when it passed, it settled down. So I thought that was rather interesting too.
Yeah,
They
I
said
think
that
this is
they asked
interesting
them to
too.
they asked them to please call because a lot of people called to see what was going on, and he said just to turn on your news to let them know that it was not a real
Okay.
emergency. That was really interesting.
And in lieu of our discussions about space and what age we're in, and as Pastor reminded me of, we were talking about the SUN, the importance of the SUN versus the SON. I mean, we've been all over, the atmosphere in the universe, and just is there any correlation, or what is being seen here? Pastor, do you have any insight? Oh, I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's absolutely a correlation, and it's uh, the way in which that energy is felt physically that we see in terms of it affecting all of our physical technology, etc. But if we were able to perceive other uh, realms or frequencies of reality, we would be able to perceive in a more direct way the uh, more energetic or spiritual nature of what is happening. And it just has to do with the uh, increasing activation of, or the need for activation of the uh, let's say the spiritual awareness present in mankind, and the ability to interface with energy that is not purely experienced physically. Um, so it has to do overall with the evolution of the earth and the evolution of human beings spiritually, and in terms of our ability to interface with the various energies that are all present in reality. So if we, let's say, are not very advanced, then we don't have the ability to uh, interface with them in any other way than a purely physical way. And we see the potential negative effects if, for example, there's a very strong energy output from the sun. Because if there is one, that is not compatible with purely physical experience. But if we are of the awareness that has sort of pushed beyond a purely physical experience, then it has different effects on us. But I think that's my basic understanding anyway. Thank you.
So if I understand what you're saying, then if we only have a intellectual or technical awareness of this thing and understanding, it affects us in a different way than if our understanding has advanced spiritually. It'll be a whole different experience, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And that
So
means, oh, go ahead.
I'll ask you this, if I may. So what you're saying is that our thoughts have more influence than our have more influence rather than the energy itself has on us. We are the ones who influence how it affects us. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that as directly related to our own awareness of who and what we are and what the nature of our own experience is. But yeah.
Now, was anybody able to see the lights from where they were? Anybody experienced it?
Well, my girls got glimpses of the lights. They saw, in certain places,
Uh-huh.
they were like faded some. In other places, they were very prominent. And my girls were out half the night trying to find the space where they would be prominent, but they saw portions of it, yes. And I mean that literally to this morning. But I think that it was well worth it, though. Now, the other thing I believe is that even though this is the other part of my question, question today, even though we have an influence on it, how it affects us, do we have an effect on when it happens? Because this has not happened in decades. Do we, are we affecting it, or did we, for lack of a better word, a term, draw it to us, or bring it to this point by virtue of our desires to understand it from a spiritual perspective? Am I making sense?
Absolutely. My belief is that it is a somewhat of a reciprocal relationship. So
Right.
we have the ability to call out in a way, and then then energy is given to us, whether or not we, know how to fully use it or not.
Right.
But I also believe that at some point, like the mama bird will push you out of the nest, whether or not you know how to fly or not.
Yeah.
So I also believe it is that. So the smoothest transition that we go through is when we have made ourselves ready. At the same time, we are able to. Well, it's like I said, I think it's reciprocal. It's a little bit of both. We call out, but we must also be ready for that kind of influence.
Well, what do you feel? You and Pastor discussing this. What do you guys feel? Is there an action that we should take? Or
That's where I was headed, Ron.
yeah,
I believe that we are ready, because I do not believe that the Creator would allow this to happen the way it did if we were not ready.
yeah.
We have been seeking truth and balance.
I
You see,
agree with that.
balance is not equality. Balance is what you need when you need it.
Yeah.
And we have been seeking that. And we have been living in the boundaries of Kemet for quite some time now during the course of our discussions. We have uncovered mysteries of Kemet without even being aware of it. And I do believe that what we desire, what we discuss, especially today, will influence the outcome of that energy in the earth.
Mhm.
May I ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead. I yield. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can wait.
Okay, this is George and Philly and Ron. I think yesterday you had given us an idea in terms of understanding nature. When you were out, yesterday in Spartanburg, and you were basically reflecting and meditating on the birds.
Uh-huh.
There's times that the birds or any living being or creature can speak to us in a way that we can just see even how the birds flow. Sometimes when things happen, we're able to see, revelations in terms of how the birds move when there's a sound or there's something that might be unsupernatural. And so I
Yeah.
think that yesterday when you were speaking about that, it made me think about what we're talking about now in terms of the magnetic energy, or even looking at it in terms of electricity. But I think that there's an energy, there's a vibration that we can better understand. As you mentioned, I am the universe and the universe is me. So we can see it sometimes through our perceptions of what we visualize or what we see. I just want to share those thoughts if that
Yeah,
resonates.
I couldn't agree more, George. I think it directly ties into what we talked about yesterday, and I was hoping we get to today, but even if we don't, that's fine. I think we're all over this. And I do think this is some type of message, or what, I don't know what it means. I was asking, what do you guys feel? I don't think anybody feel what I'm hearing, that this is anything negative or bad. I think it is something that is welcoming to us, inviting us in. I hope. But I'm just curious as to what everybody was seeing, and thank you.
But you know what, Ron?
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's inviting us in as much as it is showing us its presence.
Okay.
Because this is a stronger energy source than we have experienced that I can remember. And for it to be such so infrequently happening that it almost appears as an anomaly, which says to me that there has to be preparation and a sense of readiness for this to take place. Not only that, I also believe that we, as I said earlier, that we are the determinants of the direction of how the energy is utilized.
Yeah.
Now, I spent time this morning on the porch with the ancestors, and I felt different than I felt before in the presence. And I did not make the connection at all between the energy from the sun and the presence of the ancestors this morning. My desire was continued guidance for all of us, and definite insight into the direction that we are to take the information we are to give in terms of the mysteries of Kemet. I do not believe that we have to do a continued in-depth study of what happened in Kemet in order for us to have access. I do believe that access comes based upon sincere desire. And I do also know that the desire that we have is sincere. And the sincerity of it is seen in the consistency with our meetings as well as our discussions and what we are willing, the time we are willing to put into it in order for us to be shown what we are seeing now.
Yeah.
Good morning. This is Barbara.
Good morning, Bob.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hey. Hi. We talked a couple of weeks ago about but just very briefly about the age of Aquarius and how it talks about ushering in a magnetic energy in a sense to a larger degree, and that is feminine, not in terms of gender, but in terms of its relationship to electrical, which is seen mostly as masculine type energy. Well, a solar flare, I just looked it up, and a solar flare occurs when there's magnetic energy that has built up in the atmosphere and is suddenly released. And so it's just another sign to us affirming what we've already said, that this is a period of time when we're going to see much more as it relates to what magnetic energy can provide if we allow it to, in terms of new technology, in terms of things like the trains that don't touch the rails but float above it because it's a resistance and the magnet pushes all kinds of things. If we allow it to, and we keep our spiritual perspective, it's a time for ushering in, and I think in a very fast way, these new kinds of understandings and knowledge of magnetic energy and how magnetic energy and electrical energy both are needed and interface to provide what we need in this earth realm.
Thank you. I agree, and it's up to us whether or not we're able to use it. I just wanted to mention there was there's probably been smaller ones, but back in 2012 there was another very large one. But the interesting thing about that is the Earth missed it. Should have looked this up, but I think it was well, let me see if I can look it up real quick to see how large it was, because the one in 2012 yeah, solar storm in 2012, in July of 2012, it missed Earth with a margin, they say, of about 9 days, and it was very strong. And its predicted effects, if it had hit the Earth in 2012, it would have been serious damage to electronic systems worldwide, essentially. And you can look that up. Just type in July 2012 solar storm, and that's the Wikipedia.
But were you finished it?
Almost.
Okay.
So I think just my belief regarding that means that we were either, I think it was a good thing it did not hit us. In the sense that I think it means that we were, one, either given more time, or two, we were collectively already in a place where we did not need to experience that, meaning that we had sort of collectively advanced our awareness to the point where we were not in need of that kind of negative physical effect.
We weren't ready.
But
True.
Well, it also coincided, guys, with 2011 when we had the major portal discussion and portal and the door was open to
Yeah.
new understanding and new knowledge. And so that, I think, could probably have contributed to it too as well, so that it did not become a major issue at that time for us.
Well, you know, that was the time, that's about to say, the time when we made our commitment, not on our watch.
Yep.
We did that in December 2011, and the solar storm in 2012. It was averted, I do believe, because we were not, prepared to absorb the energy to the extent that it would not cause horrific damage. Because
I'm
it's going
curious about-
someplace. It's going someplace.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious about the numbers. You say July what? 2012? George, did you catch the numbers?
July. So it occurred on July 23rd,
723.
and then
Well,
it missed the Earth, they say, by a margin of about 9 days.
Yeah, that's what caught my attention. The numbers you said, the 9 days and the date. Is that significant to anybody? Is anybody?
It does seem so.
Yeah,
I'm aware of the sort of significance of the number 9, but
is it 17? Equal date?
Yeah,
what I don't know is if it matters if it was 9 days before or 9 days after, if the
Yeah.
position of the Earth was either before or after it. But
gotcha.
anyway, I think what's
what was that date again, Nick?
July 23rd,
Yeah.
2012.
yeah.
That's 11.
So it
then.
becomes number 7 in terms of basic
7 and 2
number.
is 9, 9 and 3 is 12,
1 plus 6.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 1 plus 7 is 8.
If it's 20,
Oh, I thought it was
35?
2011. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's 2012, right? Gotcha. Thank you, George, for that
Oh, that's
correction.
right, 2012. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's the 72312. The root number is 8.
8.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
A new beginning.
New beginning. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And what's the 9? What was the 9 days?
That is how many days on either side that we would
missed
that
it.
it would have that we missed it by. I'm not sure if it was 9 days before us, like we were early, or we were late, but it was 9 days.
So maybe one of the most significant things about the numbers and the discussion is that it represents a new beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because if you start, if March, April, May, June, July, 5 months. Because the calendar actually starts in March. So I think the significance of it was based upon the commitment that we made. And we did not realize, of course we didn't realize, because some of the things that we are dealing with now, had we known, we probably would have abandoned ship. But anyway, I think that it has more to do with the winter solstice in 2011 than we will ever realize.
Yeah.
The commitments we made. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And I think it was because we advanced our, it was definitely because of that. We either sort of presented to the universe that we didn't need that, or we presented to the universe that I think that's it. We didn't need it, for either because we definitely wouldn't have been able to handle it, or because we didn't need it at all. Either way.
Yeah, and if I may, Nick, you were speaking on the number 9, the spiritual meaning, related to cosmic consciousness. and it's a spiritual doorway to awakening of the higher self, to the alignment of all that is, was, and ever will be. But it says that the spiritual blessing of number 9 opens one to a higher awareness of self and purpose. And divine purpose reveals itself to you as it passed through this doorway. It says you have wanted to know your individual unique purpose and already in your mind, body, spirit to embrace and follow your higher calling and to be and to teach the ways and path of enlightenment. So that may have some relevance in terms of our conversation at this time. I'm done.
So spiritual enlightenment and completion.
Yeah.
So in other words, in 2012, is it saying we were not ready for that enlightenment?
Either that, or we had achieved it to a certain degree anyway, and
Okay,
therefore we're not needing the physical catalyst.
Right. Because we did have foundational understandings. Because we were searching for truth for years, long before 2012. When we look at 10 and 11, which are the days that the Saturday, Friday and Saturday rather, that's what 21, the 10th and 11th, and then the month of May is 5. And 2024, when we do the primary number, it's the root number is 7.
okay.
So
Maybe-
go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Or maybe when we met in 2011, we created the space so that we could get to this point today in terms of our spiritual awakening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is a baby step
Yeah.
in terms of the nature of the energy that is hitting us. That we have called out to in a way, even unconsciously, collectively. And it comes whether or not you consciously realize you asked for it. So we and other people like us who are consciously seeking the truth represent the sort of more conscious aspect of our collective human awareness. So hopefully we, recognizing the signs of the times, etc., are aware of these kinds of things. And then it's always, as I've said before, the minority of people who drive change and evolution within any given group.
Wow. Okay. Good stuff. Where are we? Anyone else? Questions or comments? For those of you who may have joined us late, because I saw some numbers pop up, we are currently experiencing, I don't know if you've been following the news, a solar storm, and there were scientists on television trying to explain that and how that could affect us on Earth, including some of our electronic equipment. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. So we're looking at that and basing it on some of the conversations and some of the studies we've done, some of the things we've looked at over the years, and directly putting it together with a little conference that Pastor had with all the teachers in 2011, and we kind of see the connection here. And we talked about Age of Aquarius. We talked about a number of things that usher in new beginnings and new opportunities. and looking at not only where we are, but the expectation and the responsibility of who we are and what this means, trying to make this connection so that we are fully aware of what we're seeing and what we're supposed to be doing. So that's where we are with this.
I think we're seeing the beginnings of not the beginnings, I'm sorry. We're seeing things come together
Yeah,
into a unit. You know, I do believe that. And my expectations, especially my desires, are for us to experience continual spiritual enlightenment from a space that we would deem to be a space of mysticism. And I do believe that that's what's in front of us. And I also desire that we see it in real time, as opposed to seeing it retrospectively, as so many things we have seen in the past.
okay.
Yes, sir. And I think that is exactly where we're headed and where we need to be headed in order to be prepared for these kinds of things.
Absolutely. And
And
that's what that's why this discussion is so important. We are defining the not only the nature but the usage of the energy that we have been allowed to absorb. And please let me explain, if I may, and with help of others, hopefully, of what I mean by absorbing. When Nick talked about it missing us from 9 days on either side, that energy missed us because there was no man to stand in the gap. There was no man to absorb that energy.
Yeah, yeah,
So now there is a human. There is there are people who recognize their Elohim, and that energy was not damaging the way it would have been in 12, is because we absorbed it. I do believe that, whether we are aware of it or not. Our desire absorbed the energy that was pushed towards the earth. Because if we look at the meaning of the SUN is not a source of death. The SUN is a source of life.
yeah,
The SON is a source of death, but the SUN is a source of life. Only a SON can die. The SUN doesn't. It preserves everything on the earth. So that energy grants us opportunity to be life givers. And I'm not talking about in the Christian sense of raising somebody from the dead. I'm talking about life givers in the sense that we recognize that regardless of how ignorant people are about who they are and how brutal they are towards humanity, that we, being life givers, have to make sure that our desires is to give life to those who are brutal. Not to their brutality, but to them.
yeah,
Give life to them. That's what stops the brutality. That's what changes hearts. The divine life of our Creator that is symbolized by the physicality of the sun itself. Knowing that the sun looks like it's a solid image when it really isn't. It's actually gaseous. And I believe that we must take this opportunity to bring life and healing to the attitudes of the Trumps of this world, the Bidens of this world, the Netanyahus of this world. If that makes any sense to you guys. We are the life givers who can do that now.
It does indeed. I couldn't agree more. That's why I think we have prepared for this and we're seeing what we are to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without hate, without anger, without getting all bent out of shape because of what's happening. Realizing and recognizing that though there are people who are suffering before our eyes, when they exit their bodies, they become a part of the pathway of ancestors that guides us to where we need to be.
Yeah.
So we don't get angry about it. We simply see the need to release this life energy to those who don't know who they are. I think we've been doing it backwards in that we've been looking at people who are searching for who they are, as opposed to focusing on those who don't know who they are. The ones we've been angry with are the ones we have seen as where they're not going to change. Those people are the ones who needs us the most. Questions, comments about that?
I do want to ask Vermeil if she when she started with this, but when she started with this, I cut her off and she was talking about the lights. Vermeil, did you see the lights or did I allow you to say what you were trying to say earlier? Because I think I took it in a different direction and I apologize for that if I took it from you.
No, you owe me no apologies. It went the direction it was supposed to, and it kind of answered some questions I have. But I do have a question asked in association with that. Are the lights do the lights include the energy of our forefathers, our ancestors?
That's a good question. What are the lights? From a spiritual perspective, I guess. Oh,
Everything is energy,
yeah.
and energy never dies, whether it's the ancestors or whether it's so everything is the universe is one, and so when you look at it from that perspective, yes, they are a part of what we see as that energy light source reflected from the sun, the life giver.
I also think maybe that the reason the lights are as beautiful as they are, look how they have drawn people to them, is to get our attention. So we were at the very least see the energy as something worth observing, even if we do not understand. That is the observance of that energy grants us opportunity to absorb that energy if we're searching for truth. I'm done.
Yeah. I can see that. Vermeil, does that help? Nick, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It
Hold on
does.
1 second, Vermeil. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no, I'm muted, but no, I was gonna say, yeah, even if we don't understand those types of things, can appear before us in order to do that, to catalyze the beginning, even if you're unconscious of any sort of spiritual awareness, etc., to catalyze the beginning of the questioning the nature of your experience itself, the nature of the universe, etc. And there are other phenomena that I believe will be more exposed to that are part of that process as well.
I just wanted to make sure and get the whole answer there, Vermeil, before I ask you if it all made sense to you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Anyone else? Any insight into this or any questions about it? Okay.
Did anyone on the phone actually see the lights? Any of the teachers?
I did not.
I did not.
That's interesting because I wanted to see them, and I've been out like stargazing almost every night this past week. But on Friday night, I just felt so sleepy that I decided to just turn in before I thought about it. And I went, oh, I was supposed to go out to see if I could see the lights, but I was already in bed, so I
Maybe
didn't
you're
go
the
out.
light. You're the light that you were searching for.
Mm. No, I just find that interesting that none of us saw them, and maybe we didn't need to.
But you're right, Audrey, because normally we'd be looking for stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Hey, this is, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Randy, go
This
ahead.
is Rainy. I was just going to say, I too wanted to see them. And I woke up right in the middle of the first one. And I looked out the window, and because we're in the city, it's hard to see them as well. But the sky was kind of reddish, pinkish. And I thought it was earlier than it was. I thought it was almost dawn. So I didn't think anything of it, and I went back to sleep. And only when I saw pictures that people had taken that night, did I realize I was seeing the sky that color because of the light. But I didn't actually see them.
I want to ask if there are questions from others who about what we are discussing. If you don't understand what we're talking about, would you just say you don't understand if you don't know how to raise the question? Because I do believe that it's important for us to get an understanding of what we're talking about. Suppose indeed the reason we didn't see it is because our spiritual desires was a part of it. You know how you
Pastor,
are?
I don't understand what we're talking about. I came in a little late on it.
Okay. You want to recap? We're talking about was someone going to recap?
Yes, sir. Don't mind.
Go ahead. Oh, you telling me?
Yeah, I thought that's what you were starting.
I was, but I wanted to see if anyone else wanted to do that. That's all. Instead of me.
Anyone care to recap?
Okay, Audrey, what did you see?
What did I see?
I mean, if you were going to recap?
So, well, I didn't hear all of this either because I've been having connections problems, probably because of all the energy. But anyway, I guess you all were talking about the lights, the northern lights that a lot of people saw on Friday night, and associating it with the inner spiritual energy. And I thought it interesting that none of the teachers actually saw it, just because we were, I don't know, not out doing other things or whatever. But the spiritual energy of it included, we've said, like our ancestors, because energy is not destroyed. So in a way, it affects us in terms of the energy that our ancestors are giving to us. We also talked about how there was another solar storm in 2012, but that we probably weren't ready to receive that kind of energy at the time because it missed us. But we had also met as teachers and decided that nothing was going to happen in terms of negative or bad energy anyway. So so we created a space for us to move forward into our spirituality, so that we could receive this type of energy at this point in time. And we see it as positive because energy from the sun, the SUN, gives life. And that's what I got. Somebody might want to add to that.
Oh, by the way, I received a text from Charlotte. Charlotte was from Great New Faith. She said that they saw the lights and that Amber took pictures of it. I think that that makes it even more significant that none of us as teachers saw it or experienced it in that way. Because normally I would be sitting on my porch all night or out in the yard someplace I'm driving trying to find it. But it just didn't strike me like that.
Pastor, you still have that telescope?
Oh man. One of my friends, I went to his house to look at the eclipse. And he said, this was like 4 years ago. He said, you know what? I want to use your telescope. It's still there.
Okay.
It's still in Columbia, man.
Okay.
Much longer than that because it was before COVID.
You know what
Anyway,
what I think is interesting? Audrey said when we were, she referenced back to our meeting in 2011, and we made we made the decision that nothing bad was going to happen looking at energy. Does energy become negative on its own, or is it the earth, the actions and the motives in the earth that pushes the energy or uses it in a negative way? Has the universe ever just sent negative, destructive energy to us for, I don't know, I was going to use the word punishment or whatever, but isn't it usually
Ron, before you go there, Ron, before you go there, let me ask the person who said that they didn't understand what we were talking about. Or did that bring any clarity to you?
Yes, sir. And I was just looking up online to see what it was all about because we watch the news constantly, but that's just something that I wasn't aware of. But it makes sense.
Okay, great. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that it was clear to you. Is there anyone else before we move forward that needs further clarity?
Good morning. This is Kathy. I don't need clarity per se, but I do have a question before you go in another direction. I'm listening to what we said about the energy and the effect that it could have possibly had on the electronics and all of those things. But knowing that we are energy too, I heard Audrey say that she was tired and she went to bed Friday. And I was just thinking back to my weekend, and Friday I was more tired than I've ever been. And I was just exhausted and just I didn't feel like I accomplished very much that day because it was just, my body felt tired. Could that have impacted our physical bodies as well? That energy?
Yes. I went to bed early Friday night, far earlier than I normally do.
I did too.
I did too. As a matter of fact, I fell asleep. I meant to go to the gym and I took a shower and I fell asleep and didn't wake
I
up.
did too.
Yeah.
That's because you're absorbing it.
Yeah,
It takes it's work.
yeah,
I don't remember what I was doing on Friday. Probably nothing.
absorbing, that's what you were doing, Robin.
Wow.
I was gonna say I did too, and I had these crazy lucid dreams that night too, right before I woke up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So
I think these experiences are important, you know,
Yeah.
it's speaking volumes.
mhm.
Wow.
Kathy, when you said you were really exhausted on Friday night, how did you feel when you woke up the next morning?
Well, not tired at all. And I was thinking this morning,
Not tired.
it's like it's a building block principle in that I've got even more energy today than I had yesterday. But I had more energy yesterday, but even more today. But Friday, it was just like, what is wrong with me? I can't hold my eyes open. I'm just tired. If I sit still, I just pass out. And it took me forever to get in bed simply because I couldn't even get up. And I just didn't know what was going on because it was my normal type of day. I didn't do anything really exhausting, I don't think. I'm kind of like Nick. I don't remember everything I did Friday, but it was not anything that would have had me exhausted to the point that my body was feeling on Friday. And so since then, it's just been like bursts of energy now. I feel like my old self again. Well, no, I don't. I feel better than my old self. So, but I had not equated any of that to anything until we talked about what we were talking about this morning.
Thank you.
That's interesting,
Pastor,
Kathy.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Just one thing. Andrew went to bed unusually early for him on a Friday. He had a track meet on Saturday, and when I went in there to see what he was up to, he was out pretty early. But he woke up unusually moody. His mood was just kind of low, and we asked him during the meet because the way he was just acting, and he said he didn't know why. I just feel off. I just feel off. I said, well, what's wrong? Anything wrong? Me and mommy and daddy not on you about nothing. And no, I don't know why. But he woke up this morning, okay, back to his normal self, bouncing around like he normally does. I don't know if that had anything to do with anything, but it was different for him.
How old is he? If you don't
He's
mind
12,
asking.
get ready to turn 13. He's
Okay.
12, getting ready to turn 13.
Thank you. Just curious.
I just think all of it affects us.
Yeah.
Every one of us who's searching for truth, and especially those who we have authority over, as in, you know, Arika talking about Andrew. Someone's about to say something also.
I was going to say to Kathy that I was feeling the same way, very tired, exhausted. But on Saturday, I had much more energy. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told Ron, we're talking, he was teasing me about my yard. I tell him I'm looking forward. I look forward to getting up on Saturday. And I had more energy than I ever had. It's in 3 years. I have never in 3 years worked in the yard the way I did on Saturday. Never in 3 years. And we were kind of attributing that to the progress that Phoebe's made since her last stay at the hospital. And now, even now, she is more energetic today than she was the last few days. So if you were to talk to her on the phone, she sounded exactly like she did before anything happened to her. Major difference. This may seem,
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. The
thank
energy.
you.
Yeah.
This may seem to be a scientific discussion with a robe of spirituality, but it's just the opposite. It's a spiritual discussion that that gives us understanding of the science that's involved in it, helping us to see that what we call science is always spirituality. Not only that, it seems so solemn, yet at the same time, there's a sense of excitement about what is to come. And I know for myself, I'm at, you know, that kind of excitement you have, but you really don't want to be excited. You just want to wait and see, because you don't want to be so excited you miss it, that kind of thing. That's what my experience, that's what I'm experiencing. I also see that when we embrace the power and principle of feminine energy, when we embrace the reality of SUN, when we embrace all of these things that we held to be true for so long, when we've begun to see that they were not, and we actually address them in a very positive, sincere way. This is where we are at this moment, knowing that we have been infused with energy that the earth did not receive at a time when it was, the scientists were poised to receive it. And here we are now receiving that energy force. So this is not just speculation. This energy absorption is beyond desire. It has already taken place and is taking place as we speak. I see it as a bridge or a tunnel that funnels energy from the sun. What I mean by that is this: the absorption of it leaves an opening, gateway, portal, whatever you want to call it, that we have a continuous flow of that energy, unabated by anything, because our desires have removed the obstacles, and those obstacles were not physical obstacles; they were internal obstacles that did not allow us to really be open to receive as we have been doing in the last couple of days. I think yesterday had a lot to do with that. When we talked about David killed his 10,000 and Saul his 1,000, when we talked about what that meant internally. This is not talking about a war. This is talking about what's inside of us. This is talking about hearing that feminine voice. When it talked about the women, the voices of the women praise David, it's talking about hearing that feminine voice, hearing, receiving that, and embracing and loving that feminine energy that we saw taking place. So what did we see? That we saw in the scriptures, embracing it and seeing it for what it is, open the door for this discussion. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm trying to say. The true nature of embracing that feminine energy, and as Bob said earlier, we're not talking about gender at all. Is the power within itself for us to be guided along this way. Actually freeing ourselves from the illusion that masculinity is the source of everything that is, when of course, really isn't. Knowing that gender was not created by the African, gender was not created in spirituality. Gender was created in order to foster separation, a high and a low, superior and inferior. And our minds have to be into our souls so that this whole concept of gender, we can be free from it. Look at what gender has done, how confusing it has become. In that, when you think about the pronouns that are out there, gender itself begins to create confusion by people not knowing who they are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Gender confusion. I do believe that gender has done that. Now, am I saying that there is no maleness or feminine? No, that's not what I'm saying at all, because obviously it is. What I am saying is there are no inferior and superior inflections that is perpetuated by gender. That's what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I really, really believe that we're in a better place than we ever been in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Nick, I see you.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to, someone mentioned that they had lucid dreams after they went to sleep.
Urania, yeah.
I think, was that Raina? Hey, Raina. But I want to tie that back to the need to move in a direction of, like I believe you said, Pastor, a mystical slant. If that's what you said, but it's those types of experiences become more and more available to you when you make yourself prepared to handle or to maybe digest those kinds of influences. And that energy that was made available, everyone experiences in a little bit of a different way. Although the fact that we experienced it similarly was indicative of, I believe, the fact that we're definitely on the right path in terms of our own awareness, because we can recognize that that is significant, and we can recognize that that is part of what we have to do to digest it. But continuing along that path is, I believe, an important direction for us to go in. And continuing to consciously recognize that we are interfacing with non-physical experience all the time. Consciously recognizing that we are sort of drawing in and giving off various energy frequencies and fields all the time. And it is when we develop our awareness to the point where we can see beyond the noise of this sort of immediate physical experience that we can begin to become more conscious of our the way we interact with the universe, etc., in a non-physical way. And I believe that that awareness is what is necessary in order to truly be the true the standers in the gap to create a buffer to absorb that kind of energy, which would have had more negative effects had there not been a group consciousness that was able to absorb it. And as those energies get more and more intense, which I believe they will, and not necessarily in the form of just the coming off the sun, but it's all related. There will be a need for people who are more and more spiritually attuned to be able to absorb it. And that requires us to be more aware of our non-physical aspects of being, to be more aware of what is going on deeper within us, in our own sort of unconscious or subconscious, in order to learn how to bring balance to whatever noise or chaos that may be present within, so that we can be better receivers of whatever energy, messages, etc., that we are immersed within. So I believe there's going to be, well, let me say, again, reference to the lucid dreaming. What that is an echo, in a sense, of what it was you were doing in order to truly metabolize that energetic message, or the energy that you received. Every single one of you who went to sleep tired did something similar in other realms that we generally do not remember when we wake up for various reasons. And I believe we are called to learn how to remember it, to learn how to be more conscious of it, because that means we would be more able to absorb a greater amount of that energy without needing to fall asleep, sort of. So I remember an experience I had in college that I've spoken about probably years ago at this point, but it was very similar. It was a huge wave of tiredness. It was the most tired I had ever felt up until that point. And I went to sleep and I was instantly out of my body. And I remembered it. I was conscious of it for the most part while I was doing it. That is something that we all can be, and I believe all need to be more aware of, in order to be the better mediators of this transition, this energy transition that we are going through collectively on this planet. And it is, as we always say, it is very much something that mankind is all going through. And it is going to involve, I believe, more events like we just saw, from in the form of the energy coming off the sun, in the form of things that appear more supernatural or more strange, becoming more present in our collective awareness. And individually, those who are seeking to know themselves and to know truth will potentially experience more of that more quickly, in order to be that buffer, that sort of help for that period of transition. So when we say we need to go in a more mystical direction, it's that. Know more of the non-physical parts of yourself, because in so doing, you will have a much better understanding of how to deal with these things that we encounter. I believe we will be doing that, and it is necessary for us to do that, and we are destined all to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Anyone else? Seems like someone else was about to talk a while back, and when several people started at the same time. I want to make sure we hear from everybody, because I think this is important, and we're all getting some great value here from what everybody's thoughts, especially what do you feel. So I want to make sure we hear from everybody that desires to be heard anyway. Because there was somebody else said, and the numbers jump around sometime, and I can't remember what number it was. But is there anyone else any thoughts or questions?
Ron, this is Linda.
Hey, Linda.
On Friday, hi, how are you? On Friday, Kathy and I had gone to the grocery store,
Uh-huh.
and we kept looking at the clouds, and it was this eerie looking cloud that was hovering. And we went in the grocery store and we came back and the wind was blowing and we was like, what is going on? And I never, associated with this. And we kept, when we got back in the car and everything, this cloud just kind of like went away. It just moved away. And we was watching it, and Kathy was saying, that's a strange looking cloud. So I wondered, did that have anything to do with the energy?
I think I think so, and I remember the winds and the storm as well. And as I think Barb said, everybody's pastor said as well, energy is energy, and I think it's all connected. All of it's part of the universe. Explaining it, I don't know. Maybe the strong wind is more of what I noticed. Maybe it's pushing out the negativity. Maybe it was pushing out and ushering in the thing that we needed. I don't know, but I do remember thinking we were going to have a bad storm as well. Anyone has any thoughts on that, on Linda's question?
I don't,
Ron, I agree. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pastor.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to make one comment that I agree that I think it was a pushing out, because by the time we got across town and back home, it was like a beautiful sky. The blue was back, and that dark cloud that just looked like it could fall from the sky at any moment was just gone. And so I do believe the winds were like a pushing out, but I would like to hear more insight from you too, Pastor. So thank you.
No, thank you. I think that when we, as we are speaking, when we are encountering these massive storms, instead of talking about how massive and how difficult they are to deal with, we speak to them and about them in a very positive way, in terms of no, just leave, that kind of thing. One day during the week, I think it was Friday, Phoebe and I were sitting on the porch, and there were some things I wanted to do in terms of potting some flowers, and it got really dark, and the wind, and her sister had called and said there was storming there where she lived, not too far from us. And I said, no, you got to go. I got things I need you to do. You're blown, talking to the wind. You've blown everything apart. You've done your job. You did it all week. Rain is enough. We're done with this. And in less than 3 minutes, the sun was back. There was no rain, there was no wind. Everything seemingly was around us. And when I left home, I saw that it had rained above us, but it did not here. So why I tell you this story? I'm telling you this because when we are talking about weather patterns that are out of the ordinary, meaning that they are dangerous and they appear to be out of control, they only appear that way because we don't control them. Now, I don't mean control them in terms of manipulation. I don't mean to, I'm not talking about simply because of convenience. If it had not rained, if we needed the rain, I never would have talked to it that way. There's a difference. It's not so much for convenience, it's because the chaos that we are encountering daily is having an effect on everything in the earth. And our positivity, our desire for balance and calmness has to be a factor in terms of bringing that to a place where it is more beneficial than destructive. I hope that makes sense.
Linda, does that help? Are you on mute?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, it has.
thank you. Thank you for the question. I wanna piggyback on something Pastor said that kind of goes along something Barb said earlier when she talked about energy being energy and time to usher in new understanding and give us what is needed. Pastor talked about talking to the wind, talking about the energy. Look at this a minute. We sometimes separate what we're thinking here with a human. And we think that, all right, let me just say it. Can I say, or can we agree on this phone? And this is where I was going with Habakkuk, y'all, when talk about the vision, and I still want to look at that. But I want to get rid of racism. Is that an energy? That's an energy. I want to get rid of hatred and bigotry. I want to get rid of greed. All these energies that have been shaped to resemble something that's valuable and that has separated and divided man. These are energies. So if we speak to them, that if we agree on this and speak to them, what movement can we start? The wind came in and blew out the bad storm. Is that a sign to us? Is everything we have discussed today, is this a message that we are prepared, we are energized to push all this negativity, all this bad storm out of the universe?
Think about it this way. This is how I've been thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
Just like water moves through a hose, and so the hose is the conduit, if you will, for the water. And you can put that hose wherever you need it. You know, whenever there's a flower or something that needs to be watered, you can put that hose, target that area with the hose. You can direct that energy flow, that water, to that particular target. We've been talking about our having the ability to absorb energy because we are part of energy. You understand that?
Yes.
Like the hose can be targeted, we can target energy as well. And the basic, you know, the more I read about order and truth and reciprocity and balance and harmony are ways that we can help to push that energy where it needs to be. And so by speaking it and agreeing on it, yeah, I do believe that has direct impact.
Yeah.
On, we don't know what we have averted. We don't know the extent of the great kinds of negativity in this world that we have averted, because we sometimes just see with our eyes what we got to not see with our eyes. I believe that we've done more than we can actually see with our eyes.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we think about our history in this country and the Caucasian, we see him as being bigger than life. We gotta see the energy and not the man, not the people. The energy is what drives that. And I think we're seeing that there is nothing to fear because the energy is us. And it is our fear. What if it is the fear of the African that causes the storm, allows people to roll the energy or mold the energy in a negative way because we don't see who we are?
I can see that, Ron, because there is a sense of realizing that someone is afraid. The fear, you know,
Yeah.
we talk about animals able to smell fear, which is sense.
Yes.
We are able to do that as well. So I can see that being a factor. If we look at it from this perspective, that you're God and you are afraid. So what good are you? Because if you're afraid, and the realization of your fear is being experienced by the one that you fear, then your being God has no effect on them at all. They take advantage, not because they're stronger than you. They take advantage of it because you give them the advantage. Does that make sense?
100%. And keeping you away from your history keeps you in fear, keeps you focused on the fear.
I think it keeps you in a different a place in it also. I think it keeps you in a place of you're nothing. You're nobody.
Yes.
I mean, your history is slavery, which means that you are embracing for yourself the very things that are dehumanizing to you. And in your own mind, you don't deserve anything better, you know?
Yes. Habakkuk is so strong to me. Habakkuk, as we have talked about before, Habakkuk is what we've talked about before.
Hold 1 second. Would you make sure your phones are muted, please?
Okay. The mother and child being inseparable, and that baby crying out, and the mother's ears hears the cry, and the mother is the solution. The mother is the solution. And we are the baby, and we are the ears. We are the voice of Habakkuk that cries out, and we are the solution. We are the voice of God, and we are the voice of Habakkuk. We are all of that, and that ties everything together. The whole universe. I think I told this to Pastor. I believe that when we do what we're supposed to do and all of this comes together, we're going to see that all this suffering, all the deaths, all the lynchings, all the rapes, all those things that have happened have been an illusion. Or we right the wrong. I don't know how it's going. I can't see that far, but I believe we're going to see something different. Speaking of dreams, and this happened.
Ron, before you go to the dreams,
yeah,
I believe we already see something different. I also believe today what we've done is we have written the vision.
Yeah.
And the vision that we have written is a vision that has been written in the energy, power, and the wisdom that's necessary to bring about balance in this earth, being what you need to be when you need to be it. Saying that the absorption of the energy grants us that authority to be what we need to be when we need to be it, and releasing this thing called what is it? Free will says that we have released ourselves to be utilized by the universe for any purpose the universe seems fit to bring balance to humanity. And when Nick says it in jest about you were sleeping tired because you absorbed energy, that's a release of your self-will, your to the universe, saying infuse me with whatever it takes for us to be who we're supposed to be. Make sense?
It does.
Sorry for the interruption, but go ahead.
Oh, no problem at all. Few weeks ago, I had a dream, and I didn't talk about it. It was something at the time I saw it as rather personal, but I want to share it with you. Some things happened to me or happened when I was a kid, and for some reason it keeps popping up in my mind, and I know I needed to deal with it. And I blamed my mom. I blamed my mother for it. So in my dream, I've had a couple of dreams about my mom, but in this dream, and I think I shared the first dream with you, but in this dream, I wanted to confront her and ask her why, what happened and why. And in the dream, when I walked up to her and she looked me in the eye, the thing that came out of my mouth was, "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I blamed you for this all these years." And I started to cry, and I felt so ashamed. And I stood there before her, and I asked her to forgive me for putting her through this and making her bear this burden. And the shame woke me up. And I laid there and I thought, wow. And it kind of dawned on me how close we are to this thing we call heaven or earth or whatever, that this world that we know nothing about, that we say the ancestors live in. Because in that time, that very short time, and another thing about that, usually my dreams happen early in the morning, right before I get up. But this one happened that night. This was like midnight or something when this happened. And I remember thinking that I'm right there. And the other thing that hit me with it was the ancestors, no matter what they did, good or bad, are no longer responsible for it. It is the living that is responsible for it. And I thought about that, and I released everything, not necessarily on her behalf, but on my behalf, because I have asked the Creator to put me in this position. And I felt so much lighter for it. And you know, since then, my attitude has been more of one of gratitude. And I didn't know how strong this was until now with this discussion, and even I think looking at Habakkuk and seeing that standing in the gap is you being the whole universe. It is not me standing there for my family or the Johnsons or whoever. This is me standing up for mankind and being the universe. Everything that's past and present and future stops with us. We are the gathering place for everything that has life, and including the energy that we're talking about. So this is a beautiful day. This is something very special to me. And I still don't fully understand what we're talking about, but I think we are seeing that we are empowered to be the action that we've been desiring. And that action is love and compassion. That action is understanding what these energies are and how that relates to us.
Ron, you described the power of forgiveness.
Yeah. But I love where we are. I love this.
I think I appreciate what you just shared, because I think it goes much deeper than you realize. And I think it covers a multitude of mothers and sons. And, you know, of children not realizing what their mothers are going through, but but holding some kind of feeling against their mother because of whatever happened.
Yeah.
But I think it goes beyond you and your mother, and I think it goes to many other mothers, especially this is Mother's Day. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, Audrey. I really think it speaks to Habakkuk. I think it speaks to what we looked at yesterday and recognizing in who we are, and everything we've talked about today. I think, well, I just think we're at a good place. Does anybody have questions about this though? Does it make sense
I
to
have
you?
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, feeling guilty when you're in situations and you leave the situation knowing that you had the opportunity to shift the energy, but also feeling in that time frame that the things that are occurring at that present time are needed and are necessary to make the individuals who are present be of what needs to be worked on. I guess that's what I'm saying. And it's like, and when I leave the situation, it's like you had the opportunity to say this, or you had the opportunity to shift the energy and you didn't. But all in all, the things that occur are things that needed to happen. I guess I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but I oftentimes feel guilty because I didn't speak up or I didn't use what I know I have in me to shift the energy in the atmosphere.
Wow, that's a good question and a powerful.
And I want to say this, because oftentimes I'm the youngest in the group. So it's like, who am I, but sometimes I'm pushed to the point to say it, but oftentimes I'm in a position where I am the youngest and I'm supposed to be the person that has been groomed and taught. So how are you going to address the elders?
Okay. Any thoughts on that, guys? Anyone?
Well, yes, I think you addressed them very respectfully. However, you can always ask questions. Especially, and I think also the Creator, there are times when we don't speak up, but there are always other opportunities. And if you need to speak up, there will be an opportunity for you to do that. But in terms of addressing them respectfully, you can always ask questions.
I heard also in what you were saying was the answer to the question that you were asking. You already have that answer, and it was within what you described. Because I heard you say that you felt like there was something that you could have said and brought an energy to the situation that could have changed this on the one hand, and yet on the other hand, what you said was, however, things needed to happen the way they did. So I think the issue in all of this is not that you didn't do anything. You did do something, but the issue is the guilt that you attached to not doing what you thought you should have done. And so therein is the issue. And so I think the issue is needing to deal with what you perceive as that guilt of not taking action, when you understand that things will unfold the way they are supposed to unfold. And as Audrey just said, if there are other opportunities later on for you to intervene with what you say or do, the door will be open for you. And so what I'm saying to you is don't to release the guilt. I mean, there's absolutely nothing to be guilty about. We all have those opportunities where perhaps if we said something, it could have made a difference, but you can't just dwell on it. You move on and you purpose in yourself that if there's another opportunity and I'm led to intervene, then that's the time that I'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Wow, I like this. This has been a great discussion today.
Wait, guys, I got to leave.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and continue the discussion, please.
Actually, I think it's a good place to take a pause if you guys
No,
are
someone was asking a question, I think.
okay.
It was me. I had a question. Well, I wanted to say I read an article about these Black people in Wilkerson, Georgia. There was 19 families that went in, and they bought 97 acres of land. And they said they bought a safe place for them, and no white people were allowed. So now they're playing the race card. They're being racist because they don't want white people in this community. And I'm just thinking, did they put a target on their back, or are they standing for what they believe in?
I actually think both of those things can be true. What I saw earlier in our discussion is that we are the people that are seeing things through the eye and not the eyes. It doesn't hit me whether or not things, well, it does, but it doesn't matter who perpetuates it. I like to see equality. I like to see harmony. And if all of that is energy that we are discussing, so let it be. And how that looks and who that falls on, that's just how that has to happen. Harmony is harmony. And that's what we are about. Love is love. And that's what we set out to do when we started this. I think today was important because what love and harmony looks like to me, I want to look like to everybody, not necessarily how I see it, but I want us to all be on the same page, I guess that's what I'm saying, as Barb said. So when we look at the things that we discuss, when we talk about this great divide that America has the whole world in, the agitation of wars, and even the ones in Africa that nobody speaks of, or the politicians, the healthcare situations, the job situations, all this stuff that's put together because of race, because of greed. Those are the type of things we're talking about. So if we are to address those, then that's what we address. And to me, that falls where it falls on anybody who is guilty of doing any of those things. I don't know if that answered your question or not. Can somebody help me? Do you see this differently or see something else in that?
And I guess the way I see it too, I agree with what you're saying, but I think the rationale, and correct me if I'm wrong, while the rationale may be for protection of my people, I will separate myself and I will I will make certain that I create a community in which we know what it means to be the African who lives free, because, we hear it all the time. Are we really free? That's been the question, and we are learning now what it means to be free because we know who we are. But I've heard so many, especially Black men, say, if they've ever been to Africa, I remember Steve Harvey saying when he got off the plane, how differently he felt to be on a continent where he didn't have to worry about being killed or someone coming at him just because of the color of his skin. So though I understand the rationale of what they're doing in theory, I look at separation. And we all have to learn to live in unity and to be one. And so even a thing that seems like a good thing is not spiritually the right thing when you're finding ways to further divide and separate yourself. Because the whole essence of everything that we do is to show us how to live in peace and harmony with wanting to be authentically who we are. And so I say that, all of that to just say, I think the era is on the side of trying to create a safe community, not knowing how to do that from the inside out. They're trying to do it from the outside in. And I don't think that's the right approach. That's just my thought on it. Thank you.
Beautifully said. I guess in my little way, I was trying to say that. We've talked about this, right? The Harlem Renaissance Project didn't work. Black Wall Street never worked. It's like, who are you? Once you recognize who you are, that you are the light, that you are the Elohim of this world, we can't do it the way everybody else does. It has to be done from the inside. This isn't about just creating space so you can feel like you are equal or you getting away from danger. You've been put here for a purpose. We are the difference. We are the enlightenment. And you said it beautifully. I think that really kind of sums it up. Thank you. Did anyone else want to speak to the question? Okay. Caller, was that you, Linda? Was that your question?
Yeah.
How do
Thank
you
you.
feel about the answer? You okay?
Yeah, that opened, because when I read that article, I was thinking they're doing a good thing, but like Kathy was saying, it's a separation. So where does the healing ever come in? The oneness.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Is there anyone else? I don't want to cut anybody off. Beautiful day, y'all. Thank you very much. Questions, all the comments, thoughts, prayers. Thank you for everything. Good place to take a pause, and we'll resume tomorrow evening at 6. Okay. I hope everybody have a great day. Oh, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a great day today.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Thank
Happy
you.
Mother's Day, everybody.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Happy
everyone.
Mother's Day,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mayat's Day to all of the women.
My Day.